So, chapter 4, I guess. Yeah, okay. I had a restless night's sleep. I did not, nothing but turn over repeatedly during the night. It seemed like it lasted for eternity. Even then, I eventually fell asleep at some point, not realizing how high in the sky the sun had risen. I shook off the urge to go back to sleep. It was then I noticed that the phone was ringing. Is your, uh, job again? The time was almost 10:30 in the morning. It was clearly too late for a wake-up call. Saka-san, good morning, it's Ushi. Waking up to the sound of Ushi's voice was a little too much of a shock. My delicate ears were ringing. But thanks to that shock, I was suddenly wide awake. Hello. Good morning. Could it be you just woke up? Even though you're on assignment, it's still not good to be asleep during regular business hours. Nah, ha 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 ha. You're absolutely right, I'll be more careful in the future. I have another tidbit that might wake you up even more. There was something interesting mixed in with the lost and found at the Himasawa police box. Lost and found? Let's see the details for when you get here. You think you'll be able to make it before noon? No, I'll be there right away. Uchi already knew what my mission was. Since Uchi said it was something that would make me wake up, it was hard to believe that it would be irrelevant to me. Honestly speaking, judging by the information from Saito-san yesterday, knowing that my cover was already blown, I couldn't wander to and from Himazawa carelessly. In other words, my investigation was at an impasse. If there was some information there that could put me back on the trail, that would be nothing less than a stroke of good fortune. After vigorously washing my face, I pulled out my jacket and boarded a taxi, heading towards the Akinomiya police station. Hello, Ushi. Oh, you're here. The genius Manjo player has arrived. Mahjong. My apologies for being late. So what exactly popped up? With absolutely no intention of reminiscing about last night's Mahjong game, I pressed him to get to the point. Uchi anticipating that I would act that way, cut to the chase without any resistance. Like I said earlier, something arrived from the Himazawa police boxes lost and found this morning. Lost and found items that were turned over to the police box were sent to Akinomiya Station after the paperwork was filled out. She pulled out a plastic bag from a drawer and laid its labeled contents on the desk. Is that a wallet? Indeed. There was a small change inside, but no bills. We thought a pickpocket threw away after pulling out the contents. At first, I didn't understand how this wallet, so far removed from Tokyo, could possibly relate to the kidnappings. If it had drawn Ushi's attention, it would have to be something dramatic, like if the wallet belonged to the missing grandson. That'd be absurd. Something that convenient would happen. If that was it, then there was probably be initials written on the wallet, like the initials of Toshiki Inuki, the Mrs. Grandson T.I. Thinking like that at some point, I didn't suppose that the wrist wallet was something that could get Ushi so excited. Ushi, after putting on a pair of disposable plastic gloves, handed me a pair of the same. I didn't feel that this wallet was such an important thing, so I had my doubts about whether there was any point in putting on gloves. However, I didn't want Ushi's intentions to go to waste, so I put them on. Ushi opened up the plastic bag and pulled it out, showing me the back. As I had imagined, there were initials engraved there, but it was slightly more detailed than what I had thought, with Hikoshi I marked on it. Ushi grinned at me with a look on his face that said, "See? You can't confirm that this wallet belonged to the minister's grandson," I informed him calmly. This wallet was irrelevant. It was nothing more than Ushi's over-eagerness. First of all, there's probably no way in this distant locale that the missing grandson's wallet could be found with such a convenient timing. After all, the Onagashi defense alliance wasn't related to the case in the first place, so there's no way this wallet belonged to the grandson. Why I wanted to decide that was the case, even I didn't really know. Even though what should have been a top secret case was leaked before I had even been dispatched. In this situation, how could I say this was definitely unrelated? Would it be more prudent to pay more attention to this wallet? It had only been a couple of days since I arrived in Himazawa. When those couple of days, due to the number of remarkable events, my nerves might have become just a little frayed. Shaking my head slightly, and I cleared it of unnecessary thoughts. Ushi opened up the wallet zipper, revealing the contents. Inside was a small change and a number of crumpled receipts. Ushi from that jumble pulled out a folded card. Seeing that, my heart stopped for a moment. It was a card from a dental examination. The name, Takushi Inugi, and the age, perfect match. The dentist's location was in Tokyo. There was no need to explain any further. How far was it from Tokyo to Himazawa? It's far enough that taking the bullet train and cars would still take several hours. Why would a wallet with a dental examination card from Tokyo be inside a shop in Himazawa, inside a shop from Himazawa? Could it belong to a tourist who came from Tokyo? Or maybe a villager on vacation to Tokyo who just happened to pay a visit to the dentist? No, it had to have fallen to someone's bag by accident. In my mind, I desperately struggled to find a possible excuse as to why the wallet didn't belong to a Takushi Inugi. It was as if it just wouldn't do for this wallet to belong to him. However, weeding out any possibility forever one by one, the haze surrounding the wallet in front of me faded, gradually letting in come into clear focus. See? I felt a shiver of electricity run up my spine. My pulse quickened and a thin film of sweat began to coat my entire body. From Ushi's point of view, I was probably a slack-jawed and spaced out with a slovenly look on my face. Did you get the information from the dental office? That's your job, Akasa-san. I didn't go that far. When did this wallet show up? The person who picked it up was a villager. They did so yesterday, it seems. Not that, I mean, when was this wallet dropped? It rained here last week, exactly 7 days ago. It didn't look like the contents are water damage, so the longest it could have would be 6 days. Does anyone else at the station have knowledge of the existence of this wallet? The officer who first encountered it at the Himazawa police box, and also the 2 or 3 in charge of the lost or found. Other than that, it's just me and you. If it's involved in a classified case, it'd be bad to talk about it, wouldn't it? I don't intend to wag my tongue. May I borrow a phone? Go ahead. I dialed 0 again at the outside line. I dialed the phone number inscribed on the examination card. I could hear my pulse pounding inside my head. Could there possibly be something so absurd? The address on the receipts and the cards inside the wallet were all around the area where the grandson lived. The name on the examination card was also a match. The time we deduced that the wallet had been left behind also matched up with the timeline of the kidnapping. Of course, it was possible I could just laugh it off as all a big pile of coincidences. There wasn't any strong evidence. Rather than all the circumstantial proof, the contents of the phone call I was about to make would have a much greater meaning. Hello, sorry to keep you waiting. This is XX Dental Office. Hello, this is XX Police. I have a misplaced wallet here. I'm trying to get into contact with the owner. Would you be able to help me? Inside the wallet is an examination card from your office, yes? The name is Takushi Inugi. If I gave you the number on the card, would you be able to look up the phone number? Yes, thank you. If you could. Still holding the receiver, I pulled out a notebook from my breast pocket with my hand free. I opened it to the pages with the grandson's address and phone number recorded on it. Yes, hello? Yes, go ahead. I compared the phone number with written in my notebook and the one being read out of the other line. During that process, I spun around to look behind me unnecessarily. I looked at Ushi. Ushi looked puzzled, wondering what the matter was. Why would I be feeling uneasy and look behind me? That's because the person on the other end of the line was reading out the numbers as though doing so straight from my notebook. It's an exact match. It seemed that HQ was in quite an uproar thanks to my report. No matter how many times the authenticity of the evidence I had linked to the grandson was called into question, I could only respond that it was the truth. When the lead investigator first picked up the phone, I was good about the evidence I had found that was almost too good to be true, if I do say so myself. But after having doubt after doubt, the disparity fell into silence. The receiver was finally handed over to the section chief. When he picked up, the background from on the other end of the line disappeared, and I knew that I had gone completely silent. But asking the same question about the wallet that the lead investigator did, the chief quietly spoke the next words. Got it. We'll dispatch several people as reinforcements. They should be able to make it there by evening. Asaka-san, please continue with the with your investigation of the area. Get some information on the spot where the wallet was found. Kano-san will select some people and head directly there. The fact that he was sending a Kano, the elite investigator here, meant that the chief had decided there was a possibility that the Onigoshi Defense Alliance was somehow complicit in the kidnapping. However, it felt as though, until the lead investigator, whom he trusted, had verified this evidence with his own eyes, he was still going to be skeptical about it. How did it go? It seems that HQ is sending reinforcements. I was ordered to investigate the area. Where was the wallet dropped? Around Takatsudo, apparently. This is Okinomiya. All the way over here, this is Himazawa. Then even further upstream over here is Tatsudo. We should explain where the wallet was found by pointing to locations on the map on the wall. This place called Tatsudo was even more remote than Himazawa was. There's hardly anyone living in the area around Tatsudo. It was deserted a long time ago. It's littered with abandoned houses, so it's really quite desolate around here. Ushi-san, could I ask you to guide me to Tatsudo? Yeah, I don't mind. You can't really get in and out of Himazawa as you please by yourself after all. Of course I'll have to make you wear the cap and mask again. That Uchi had agreed to accompany me was very reassuring. Is Sato's wife information was to be believed, my cover had already been blown. I wasn't sure if the villagers had realized that the Kashmir dispatch from public safety was in the tourists that had visited the village yesterday, in other words me, but deciding that they hadn't noticed wouldn't have been overly optimistic. Given a curiosity thought, Tatsudo, where the wallet was found, couldn't be ruled out as a hiding spot for the kidnappers. The Tatsudo area didn't have any residence buildings, nor was it along a highway. There wasn't a reason for even the locals to go out there, their way to visit it. It was exactly what you would call a long-forgotten ghost town at the end of the road. You couldn't ask for a better place to hold a kidnapped grandson. Also, you couldn't get to Tatsudo without passing through Himazawa first. Those several conditions made the area all the more important. I couldn't brush it off any longer. There's no longer any doubt that Onigoshi Defense Alliance or someone hired by them were involved in the kidnappings. If that was the case, then the fact that this wallet was found might have already been linked to them. They even knew so much as how the public safety division was operating. Didn't they drop the wallet themselves? Because didn't Ovio said she was felt sorry for the minister's grandson? The case of the wallet couldn't be something they didn't know. In that case, there was a possibility that the enemy was lying in wait to dive along into enemy territory, surrounded by enemy territory. To say the least, required an amount of courage, nay recklessness, that I just did not have. Without your company, Ushi-san, I wouldn't be able to step into the village so easily. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Honestly, I thought you would ask for more money. Nahahaha. Well, if we're being honest, Himazawa isn't actually a place I'd like to go. I would at least appreciate it if you paid for the cab fee, so it's not a request I can refuse from a friend that paid the same table as me. Ushi grinned as he pounded me on the back. It struck me that he didn't want to jump ship rather than having any sort of sense of duty towards his job. So that didn't really matter. Right now I really appreciate the gesture. Well then, shall we hurry up and get going? Well, if the enemy knew that the police had obtained the wallet, then they would probably have moved the hostage to a different place. There wasn't any moment to lose. But Ushi, without regard to the fact that we were heading out, began to remove his jacket. What are you doing? Well, just a precaution. If you want me to poke bee out to get honey, I have to be rather prepared, you see. Did you want one too? Or Ushi pulled out the drawer behind the desk with a stab-proof vest. Yeah, I should probably get one too as well. His name was Toshiki Inugi, the grandson of the Minister of Construction Inugi. There's only one reason for him to be here. For him being here. If you didn't include Jimo art classes, his grades were above average. That was the result of having private tutoring sessions twice a week. If you admit the fact that he still couldn't do pull-ups, there wasn't much else that would make him hate school. Of course he understood full well that his grandfather was a cabinet minister, but he also knew that not too many people were that interested in their relationship. He didn't like to get out of his way to bring up his grandfather or to call him the Minister of Construction. And finally, he at least tried to know a little more about what kind of work the Minister of Construction did than your average Joe. What that entailed was that when you tried your best to make your life for the masses, sometimes you make a few enemies. He knew that all too well from the time he'd spent as a class representative. His grandfather had many enemies. He knew that he might personally catch some out of that fallout, though he had to be twice as cautious. He was taught that by his parents. That's why the moment he was kidnapped, he instantly knew this was one of those occasions. He understood that he wasn't being treated as Tokyo Onugi, the person, but rather as Tokyo Onugi, the grandson of the Minister of Construction. That he wasn't personally at fault, that this was the result of some unavoidable trouble with his grandfather's work. It made a little difference, but when he realized it wasn't because of anything he did, he was able to relax, if only a little. Of course, at first he was struck with the terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. But after a while of being tied up and only able to stay lying down, he began to ponder a great many things. At first, he thought about the reason he was being abducted like this. He understood the answer to that easily. He was taken hostage to coerce his grandfather, the minister. There's no doubt about that. He didn't know exactly what the Minister of Construction did, but it's easy to imagine that there was much to be gained from threatening him. He respected his grandfather more than most. He honestly believed that his grandfather was within the top 20 of the most important people in Japan. That was exactly why he couldn't forgive anyone who tried to threaten his beloved grandfather. More importantly, he wouldn't forgive anyone who would use him as a tool to threaten his grandfather. His grandfather was really busy and rarely had time to meet his relatives. That's why, the one little time he had, he did manage to scrape together. He just dropped out by unannounced. And as an apology for not being, uh, as an apology for not being able to meet during New Year's or summer vacation, he doubted his grandson very much. The number of times that Toshiki was looked upon with disregard just because his grandfather was a politician and minister certainly weren't few, but he never thought even once that he wanted his grandfather to quit being a politician. Because it was his beloved grandfather, he wanted him to continue his career as long as possible from the bottom of his heart. However, Toshiki was now being held hostage, and his grandfather was being threatened. His grandfather, who called him the apple of his eye, was surely suffering. He might do anything to save his grandson, maybe even putting aside his ideology if it was required to save his grandson. He might cave into the culprit's demands if it meant to save his grandson. When Toshiki thought about that, an unexpected anger welled up within him. In his current situation, he was able to forgive the cowards who would make his beloved grandfather suffer by using such dastardly means. That feeling swelled up inside of him, displacing the fear. When he thought of first, what he thought of first was something any boy would imagine. Get out of these bonds, beat up those bad guys, and hand them over to the police. Imagine all images of all the brave heroes from all the manga he had read passed through the back of his mind. In his imaginary scenario, he slipped his bonds easily, looked like a butterfly to evade his captors, then stung like a bee and bring them all down. In the end, it was nothing more than his silly little fantasy, but with his vision obscured and unable to see anything, it was something that get he could get into more than any anime at the moment. In actuality, he was enjoying his little scenarios in his head for the long period of time he was tied up. His captors hadn't really done anything to him that they would feel sorry for. However, eventually he began to grow tired of his fantasies. More realistic scenarios began to run through his head. It was then he realized that none of them were solutions. Yes, he wanted to do something for his grandfather who was being threatened. That he was being held here to inflict pain on his grandfather was the thing that he could least forgive and also the most vexing. And then he noticed there was a much simpler way he could save his grandfather without having to beat up his captors. That was to remove himself as a hostage from the hands of these villains. If he were to disappear from here, his captors would have nothing to threaten his grandfather with. I guess so. Nothing to threaten his grandfather with. Okay. The captors had restrained him, but they didn't treat him roughly, and they made sure he was well enough. Meaning, at most, he was nothing more than the means for their threats. Nice. They weren't looking to bully or kill him out of spite. If he behaved, no ill would befall him. Realizing that gave him a strong sense of courage. And carrying his train of thought this far, he let it run its course to its natural conclusion. Right now, at this moment, Toshiki Inuki had decided to escape. His ears had been stuffed with a sponge-like material, acting as a makeshift earplugs. However, they didn't actually do much to block out any sound, and he could overhear everything his captors were saying. Realizing this was to his advantage. Even when his captors spoke to him, he acted like he couldn't hear them due to the earplugs. His captors, thinking that he couldn't hear their conversation, talked about all sorts of things without any reservation. Linked to that, he was able to obtain various pieces of information. First off, this wasn't Tokyo. It seemed that this was quite a distance away. On top of that, it was in the countryside, nested deep in the mountains. It also seemed that his captors were inconvenienced living out here, so he could deduce that this was a place that was far removed from any sort of town. Finally, whenever they went to get supplies, they would always take a car. That fact caused him some dismay, because he knew that the method he learned at school of running blindly while shouting for help wouldn't work here. He paused his little mental escape scenario there. His ultimate goal was to find someone who could help him. If someone who fit that description wasn't close by, the chance of escaping was successfully grew slim. A desolated, far-off land, deep in the mountains. A place where you couldn't even go shopping without using a car. In this situation, escaping would be very difficult. He grew depressed, and after a little while, he returned to his original scenario. Imagine becoming a hero like the mangas he read and beating down his captors because his respite. However, as he played those solutions out in his head, his heart halted to surrender and continued to escape for a way to continue to search for a way to escape. And then he thought of a way out. If the goal was far away, then all he had to do was get closer. His goal in a nutshell was to find someone who could help him. In other words, somebody other than his captors. If he faked being sick, then the captors would have to take him to the hospital or bring a doctor to him. They would probably be reluctant to do that, but he already knew that the hostage was more important than anything else. In the off chance that something happened, like him dying occurred, they wouldn't be able to join anyone anymore. Luckily, he had an experience that would help him fake serious illness. At the end of the year, he was inadvertently involved in a car accident and had to undergo surgery. The scar from that surgery was still clearly visible on his lower torso. He recalled the pain and suffering from that time. The existence of that experience would make a huge impact on the realism of his performance. He's quite confident in his ability to fake an illness. His characters at first took that as a sign he needed to use the washroom. Tying on his arms, they tried to bring him there while he was still blindfolded, but he didn't try to get up. His arms now free, only clenched as abdomen as he writhed in pain, agony. Hey, what's wrong? Did your stomach hurt? He still had his ear plugged in, so he had to pretend he didn't hear his captain asking the question. He was about to nod, so he hurriedly had to stop himself. But what's the matter? He had the kid's clutching at his stomach. Must be a stomachache or something. His captors looked down, and his suffering fallen for a bit. One of them proposed a course of action, while another laid his doubts that Toshiki might be faking it. What's wrong, boy? Your tummy hurt? His ears are plugged so he can't hear you. Well, that's a problem. Do we got any medicine that's worked on stomach pain? Might want to go to the pharmacy and buy some. When it comes to stomach pain, there's a bunch of different meds, isn't there? As long as we don't know the cause, we shouldn't just buy him any old medicine. Yes? Holding his stomach, maybe he's got constipation. If you buy him medicine for that, then maybe that'll calm him down. It won't kill him if we're wrong neither. Don't decide something like that on your own. It might be, appendicitis or something. My uncle suddenly got here a while ago. That was pretty scary. One of the captors, leaned over besides the boy who was bent over in agony. I feel sorry for the kid. Whoa, whoa. His whole body's covered in sweat. Is it your stomach? Does it hurt? Hey, if it hurts, you shouldn't clutch it so tightly. It'll only make it worse. Realizing his captors were concerned about his stomach, he immediately let his shirt right up, letting the scar from the surgery come into plain view. His vision was still obscured while with the packing tape, so he couldn't see the reaction to his scar. But his captors were taken aback, judging from the military science, and he obtained the reaction he was looking for. Hey, this is bad. This scar, it's not that old. Does the boy have a fever? There's a thermometer around. No way, we have one. But that's a lot of sweat. Yeah, his forehead feels pretty hot, I think. I've heard that under prolonged stress, old wounds can be aggravated. Then, what do we do? Are you saying that the medicine won't work? We don't know what surgery the scar was from. But in any case, this is bad. In the worst case, it could be fatal. This is bad. This is really, really, really bad. Maybe we should have a doctor take a look at him. At this rate, there's a chance that he might suddenly die on us. Tashiki Inuki, with those few words, knew that the situation was progressing exactly as he had envisioned it. Sticking to himself on the inside, pressed his act even further. He didn't even need to see to know that his captors were panicking and running around like chickens with their heads cut off by this troublesome turn of events. Should we take him to the clinic? No, that's no good. Probably better if the doctor came here. Dr. Ivy, you mean? Is that okay? Will that be alright? It'd be worse if anything happened to the hostage. Nothing we can do, it's an emergency. One of the captors hurriedly left in the car, and another of the men, completely shaken up at this point, wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. It looks like they were bringing a doctor. As long as the doctor wasn't an accomplice, the doctor was his goal. He was someone he should seek help from. His captors were probably wary of that happening. They probably would prepare for it. It all came down to luck. Some of the sweat emerging from his brow was from nervousness. At that moment, the packing tape that was covering his eyes and ears was torn off. The burning light that he had seen for the first time in several days hurt his eyes. After that, the gag that made it hard for him to breathe was also removed. Are you alright, kid? We're bringing a doctor to you right now. Just hold on for a little bit. The doctor was coming, the doctor was coming. Now, how was he supposed to ask for help, and how was he going to get away from his captors? A plethora of thoughts began swirling through his head. I think you know this already, but don't say anything unnecessary to the doctor. We don't want to hurt you or anything. You understand that, right? Tashiki Inugi nodded while faking pain and obedience. His expectations and the enemy's expectations, whatever they doubt he was faking his illness or not, they knew what his goal was and were trying to stop it. His stomach contracted from the stress of this gambit, making it seem like his stomach really was starting to hurt. No, it really was. But there was no reason to panic. If he failed with his approach to the doctor, there's nothing to lose. If there was not something to lose, it was this method of making illness to get in touch with the doctor. If you could think of other methods from here on out, it wasn't much. But at the present, this was the easiest and most dramatic way he could think of. The more he thought about it, the more it looked like this was his first and last gambit. Eventually, he heard the sound of a car approaching once again. Is already here? The sound of the car doors being hurriedly opened and shut. That sound of several footsteps approaching. A young man in a white medical coat. As he acknowledged the boy, a suspicious look showed itself on his face. Who's he? He's not one of the kids from the village, is he? The captain didn't respond. On the looks of it, the doctor had realized this was an abnormal situation. When the captors talked threateningly, that's got nothing to do with you, Doc. For a while, the doctor and the captain silently glared at one another. However, unable to stand the sight of the boy continuing to suffer, the doctor and as the captors had hoped didn't press any further. I'm concerned about the old surgery scar. What kind of operation was it? We don't know. I should really bring him back to the clinic. Doc, we really can't do that. The doctor said he wanted to bring the boy back to the clinic, but the captors simply shook their heads at the notion. It was a fleeting hope, but it was only natural that the captain would refuse. At that moment, his eyes met with the doctor's. Seeing that the boy's painful state was abnormal, the doctor suspected it was a serious illness. Are you alright? I'm a doctor. When was this surgical scar from? Last year. During the winter. From an accident. An accident? I see. This is a problem. You couldn't let the doctor figure out that he was faking it here. You had to somehow figure out some way to keep this going on and tell the doctor that he was being confined and needed help. I'm gonna touch the affected area, okay? If it hurts, tell me where. Ah! Seeing that was extremely painful, the doctor crossed his arms and began to ponder. He seemed to somehow dim. He had to somehow get himself to a hospital. To Kishi Inuki, making his illness was the performance of a lifetime. Higurashi, when they cry. Yeah, okay. Higurashi, when they Higurashi. Am I back in the cop now? Yeah, good work, everyone. I know it's hard, but please do your best. If you catch anyone illegally dumping, please contact someone immediately. We'll act quickly. Thank you for your cooperation, Ushi-san. Please. The gap, wide enough for a single car was opened up in the barricade. Ushi-san showed his gratitude, or perhaps a threatening attitude. With a short beep on the horn, rode the car forward through the checkpoint. This time my appearance was the very embodiment of the word suspicious. A baseball cap, mask, and sunglasses. On top of that, even though it was sweltering, I was wearing a hoodie. Any respectable police officer would be loath to not stop me for questioning. I had meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known, but it might have already been too late uh, for that to have any use. Using that as an excuse, I doffed the unbelievably hot hoodie and windbreaker, ripped off the mask and hat, and threw them into the sea behind me. Oh my. Is that okay? With a cheap little disguise like this, they probably figured it out anyways. Nah, that just might be the case. Usually probably thinking that my unexpected behavior was funny, continued to laugh. The beautiful and pristine scenery of Himazawa spread out before me. The village itself would have been quite beautiful if it weren't for the complicated circumstances surrounding it at the moment. I would absolutely love to take a Yuki here for a drive one day. Yuki. Yuki. Da da da. Come to think of it, I didn't get a chance to call her last night. I played around with the idea in my head, but in reality this village wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I had everything at the preference headquarters. Had heard everything at the preference headquarters. At the heart of this village, the intelligence network that three families wielded was due to blood ties and regional relationships unbelievably well organized. The net spread not just around Himazawa itself, but escalated the entirety of the city of Shinobon as well. When I first heard that, somehow, in the recesses of my mind, I didn't take it completely seriously. I could a local organization out in the boonies. You have something so grandiose. I couldn't deny that somewhere in the back of my mind I had ridiculed the thought. But it's not only were they really threatening the minister, but they had demonstrated they had a complete grasp of our movements, which was supposed to be top secret. They were almost like the secret police that controlled a small Eastern European country like some spy novel. The villagers here wouldn't bat an eye at getting their hands dirty if it meant fighting the dam project. We also heard something like that at the preference headquarters. But now that you mention it, when I first arrived here, Uchi also said that this place was a war zone, didn't he? The residents of this village were at the same time freedom fighters, although by definition they were no different than uh, guerrillas or militia. They weren't protected by the Geneva Convention, but they also didn't have to abide by to those rules either. This place was more of a quagmire than a legitimate battlefield, a secret war unfolding. I could ride along because Ushi was with me, but if I want to leave this car for even something as trivial as looking for a vending machine, there's a chance I wouldn't return. Even though a single shot hadn't been fired, this was a battlefield. The reason why bullets weren't firing was simply because it was hard for civilians to obtain a gun in Japan. So they were probably just equipped with weapons other than guns that were easier to attain. That was why Ushi was wearing that stab-proof vest, wasn't it? Asaka-san, are you nervous? The fact that I was apprehensive was, of course, picked up by Ushi. If we figured it out, there was no point in trying to hide or deny it. Of course I am. We're headed into the heart of enemy territory alone, aren't we? I'm worried about if something unlikely happens, if just the two of us. Something unlikely? Nah, it'll be alright. Isn't everyone in this village our enemy? If everyone gets their story straight, they could murder someone in broad daylight and there wouldn't be a shred of evidence. I'm asking about something like that. This was what that ironclad rule of not barging into an Yakuza office alone was about. If there wasn't a neutral party involved, that area wasn't bound by the laws of common sense. If something happened, you would be able to prove it, and there would be anyone who would take your side. That's pretty much the definition of poking the bear. I left word that we're headed towards the Himazawa area. In the worst case, we've also got the radio. I know you're scared, Osaka, but it's not that easy to pull off the perfect crime. Well, of course that doesn't mean we can let our guard down either. Osaka-san, you're too worked up about over this. You were much more relaxed the last time we came over here together, weren't you? Ha 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 ha. Laughing it off, Yuichi tramped his chest and grinned as if he was said I could depend on him. Well, if it really gets iffy, nah ha ha. This comes with having the air badge. Yuichi made a motion by sticking out his index finger. Bang, 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 bang. It was undoubtedly the image of a gun. Will it be of any use? If you're not afraid of dealing with the aftermath after you shoot, it's actually very reassuring. An officer's gun was only for show. If you really wanted to fire it, there were quite a number of stipulations, and you had to be prepared for the long-term probationary periods afterwards. That definitely wasn't worth it, so even if an officer did unholster his gun, there wasn't one who would actually want to pull the trigger. Osaka-san, are you having one? A piece? Well, yeah. You ever fired it? I have. For training, though. Well, I guess that'd be true. Well, then have you, Ushi-san? Me? Nah, nah, there's no way. What was this? I thought he was laughing at me because he had experience. The two of us laughed together. I also never pointed the barrel at anyone. I've looked down the barrel of a gun a few times, though. Just being made to look down the barrel like that is enough to shorten your lifespan by about 3 years. Even if you never fired a gun before, you couldn't even begin to compare to the amount of experience Ushi had over me. At a time like this, I could only marvel again at how reliable Ushi seemed. Come to think of it, I didn't want to come this way in the middle of the day, but there's no way for a car to get through other than here. Saka-san, just in case, put on that mask again to hide your face, please. What's the matter? Can you not hear it because the air conditioning is too loud? I'll turn it off. Try opening the window. When I opened the window, a blast of hot air blew inside, and then I could hear angry yelling coming from far away. At that moment, the forest gave away on either side of us, and only our view expanded suddenly. Himazawa Dam project, and there could be seen the Himazawa Dam construction grounds. The very front lines of Himazawa village were absolutely oppressed to the construction of the Himazawa Dam. The cracking blare of someone's voice sounded over an enormous loudspeaker. The roar of angry voices continued to rumble. The incredible volume had become a veritable sound cannon spewing out its ammunition. The prefected site office was surrounded by 2 sets of high fences laced with barbed wire. Lined up in front of those fences were riot polices and their vehicles, and surrounding it all were the villagers. They held out their protests against the dam as a single entity. Oh, there's not too much of them today. We're in luck. That's not too many. Yeah, when there's a lot of them, the crowd reaches as far as the road. You wouldn't even be able to hitch forward in a car. At first, due to their overwhelming intensity, it looked to me like there were more than 3 actually. There actually was, but upon closer inspection, there was at most 50 to 70 of them. With the 6 or 7 propaganda trucks lined up, they looked like they belonged to a band of thugs. Were a strange enough sight. The villagers were wearing helmets and bandanas, as well as covering their faces with masks, adding to the oddity of it all. So you can't identify them? The propaganda trucks, after blaring their chorus, had their volume turned up even higher and began to flood the area with sutras. To say that the noise was downright violent wouldn't be an understatement. From this distance, it was still this loud. The glass in the office was probably rattling from the noise. You couldn't do anything there but take it. Those riot guys, every one of them is wearing earplugs, but they're still having their hearing damaged. Poor sobs. Can you do something about it with those noise ordinance laws? Our premises don't have any laws regarding noise ordinance. So those are sutras, right? You can't regulate religious activities. You guys are pretty smart. Ah ha 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 ha. Is that is what Ushi said? Actually, no matter how tightly the window was shut, the booming sound of these sutras still filled the car. You couldn't even imagine. You couldn't hear what who was sitting right next to me, was saying. As the car approached the line of propaganda trucks, the blare became difficult to bear. It wasn't enough to just plug my ears with my fingers. I had to hold my head to keep my skull from splitting apart. If I had seen this terrifying energy sooner, I would have probably understood why Himazara village was much quicker. Now I knew they wouldn't blink an eye at sacrificing themselves in order to protect their hometown. Ah, so goddamn noisy. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. My head throbbed and felt like it was going to split apart. My eardrums crackled, and on top of it all, I almost felt like I was going to throw up. The road crowded with a throng of squatters, the propaganda trucks, and the riot police vehicles. It was in no way easy to get by. Even if you tried to shoot the squatters with the car horn, they were also wearing earplugs, oblivious to the noise from the outside world, and wouldn't easily move. The car could only inch forward at a snail's pace. Even then, the car eventually got through, starting to leave the terminus noise behind. Hey, the bald guy that was playing mahjong with us last night, remember him? I remember that there was an older person who didn't exactly mince words. The guy that Uchi called old man. There was someone like that. You see, he's the foreman of the main construction site. He's probably holed up in that prefab building trying to work while irritated out of his mind. How can you work like this? Poor fella. You wouldn't be able to stand it if it's like that every day. Yeah, there's no end to the number of people who can't handle it and quit. But every time that happens, their wages go up, so I wouldn't say it's in vain. Even having to deal with all the noises and hostility, they still made a wage that Ushi found enviable. Damn it, these guys. Can they hear or can't they? A group of squatters were in the way of the car. Ushi, sufficiently annoyed, laid in the horn, but there was no indication that they were moving anytime soon. In this din, could they not even hear a car horn? Or did they hear and were being malicious? And if there were any riot police nearby, they would have made people move, but it just so happened that they weren't turning around. Ah, jeez. Wait just a minute. Ushi opened the door. Even more heated roar of the crowd spilled into the car. Ushi said something as he grinned wildly, but I couldn't hear what it was. It was getting them to move. Something like that? Ushi stepped out of the car and closed the door. The din faded slightly. I stared blankly at Ushi as Ushi headed towards the group and started some sort of conversation. Maybe we'd find the minister's grandson at Tatsudo. At the very least, I wanted to find him there. Find him and sip the cursed bonds of this incomprehensible village. I could only pray. At that moment, a shadow was suddenly cast over me. Somebody was standing right outside the passenger seat window, blocking the sunlight. I spun around, looked up, and realized who the backlit figure was. Oh, it's Rika. Hello. Huh? It was a girl. It was Rika Furudu. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. I didn't have any justification, but I felt like I had been found out by someone I shouldn't be found out by. To fill the silence, I raised my hand as I mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there was no way she could hear my small voice in this clamor. But even then, she should have seen me wave my hand in greetings. In spite of that, she simply stared down at me with a cold look on her face. At that moment, the noise and heat spread throughout the car once again. We should return to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group that were blocking the road had started to move aside while glaring our way. Sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we go? She resigned. The figure of the girl behind me registered. One of the villagers came over and picked her up. In a manner of it's dangerous, to get out the way. It was then that she whispered one or two words, however I couldn't hear any of it. Well then, let's go. I'm going to gun it, okay? But of course, still within the speed limit. As if to shake off the still audible angry voices, Ushi lowered the gas. Along with the road and the din and the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us. As soon as we're through here, we're in Tatsudo. Are you okay if we end up getting into a street firefight? Don't be fumbling with the safety at the last moment, you hear? Ushi laughed mockingly again. I was more concerned with what that girl had said, however, as I was vaguely bothered by it. What was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression? Suppose it's normal if you're nervous from here on out. But if you don't deal with it, there's a chance you might do something rash. But there was no longer a way to confirm what that girl had tried to tell me. It might have been that girl who once warned me to go back to Tokyo again. Or else, worse saying to me was here right now ignoring that warning. Even though I warned you. What a fool. I had the foolish you said something like that. Higurashi. When they Higurashi. When they Higurashi. When they Higurashi. When they cry. Cry when they were Higurashi. Oh, it's still going. If you were to call Himazawa a rather lonely village, then Tuxedo was outright desolate. But everyday boy like me, I just couldn't understand why somebody would force himself to live here. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust or enveloped in ivy, indicating that it was all but abandoned. People really lived in a place like this, didn't they? Well, it was a long time ago. A remote place like this is pretty rough for old folk to live, and the younger folk would probably want to try living in a more suitable place. If there's nobody left to take the reins, all that gets left is this. Even if I had no personal attachment to the village, seeing the disused buildings made me feel a little sentimental. It seemed that Ishi had also felt the same way. Was the wallet found over here? The person who found it must have had a good reason to come out here to this desolate place. Yet there's some villagers who have a field out in the mountains here. They pass by here in the morning and evenings. The villagers who work in the fields walk by here every day. No way. They probably go as far as they can by car. So in the early morning and early evenings they pass by here and just happen to find a single wallet? They probably did. Nah ha 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 ha. Where exactly did they say they found it? In a trick just a bit further ahead. Those who found the wallet just happened to have stomach grounds and was planning to use the trick to do his business, it seems. It was there he happened to find it. Probably hoping there was a toilet paper or something. Very coincidental. I think my story just seemed a little too convenient. Right from the discovery of the wallet, I just can't take the feeling that something's off. It's the feeling that I had at the start of the day, quite frankly. It seemed that too good to be true, but it was unwavering proof. But it was too perfect, sickeningly so. That was my feeling. You might actually be onto something by saying it's a bit too perfect. Meaning? The truth is, I saw something from a friend of mine in the 4th Division, where Obiyo Shinozaki referenced the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. You referenced it? Yeah. It's been several days since the minister's grandson has been kidnapped, poor boy. It'd be nice if they let him go soon. It seems that old Obiyo muttered something like that while on a vendetta. And that little amusing was conveyed to the various people working deep behind the scenes at the Shinozaki family. Right, I had heard something early from Soto, the informant. And when the leader Obiyo had a concern, somebody in the family would be considerate. So in essence, you gave the order to release this hostage. I see it that way. The wallet being conveniently discovered was just a ploy to hand the boy over to the police. Why would they release the hostage? Nah, haha. Well, there's only one reason they would release the hostage, isn't there? What is it? They reached a deal. That would mean the minister promised to halt the Mizawa Dam project. The dam project will definitely go away. At that moment, those words the girl had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. In the end, it was turning out exactly as she had proclaimed. The young girl knew the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident from the beginning to the end. Asaka-san, you gotta unexpectedly call my name. What is it? Go back to Tokyo. Huh? Before long, you will woefully regret coming to this village. That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. So I thought I'd warn you right now. Why would I come to regret it? Stop whining. When you tried crossing the road, when the don't walk sign came up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back onto the sidewalk? They pulled you back right away, wouldn't they? They would pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they? In other words, something like that. The girl who knew everything from start to finish had warned me in the beginning to go back to Tokyo. Osaka-san's such a coward. Tihihihi. Huh? We'd probably find the boy, but what happens afterwards would probably be a bit of a problem. How would be a problem though is something a single officer like me couldn't figure out. Do you know a girl named Riku Furudu? When I said such a non-Earth executor that Ushi sat in stunned silence for a while. Of course I know her. She's the only daughter of the Furudu family, one of the 3 families. What kind of girl is she? Well, This was a bit unexpected news to hear. I'm a bit surprised. Does Mary just think that the Fuji family smells fishy and wants to keep an eye on them? Share some of the information with me, please. Oh no, it's nothing like that. It's just something that caught my attention. Hmm? Nah, whatever. It, it wouldn't do not to answer a question from a friend I sat at the same table with. I'm honored that you call me a friend. So that little lady as well, somewhat of a village mascot. She'd be beloved by everyone in the village. Some of the older folk worship her especially. Worship? I don't know much about her, you see. Girls born in the Fuji family have somewhat of a sacred implication, it seems. It's one of the local beliefs in Himazawa. The living incarnation of Orishida-sama or something like it. Or so the story goes, apparently. Orishida-sama? Now that you mention it, I just think I saw Orishida-sama written on some of the alliance banners. Where is Orishida-sama exactly? It's the name of the guardian deity of Himazawa. They believe it exacts punishments on those who would do ill towards the village. Well, if there was such a convenient guard around, the guys at the dam project would have been long gone, being done in by divine justice. Lucky nothing like that has happened to anyone just yet. The grandson of the minister who trifled with the village as a result of Orishida-sama's anger was, what did they call it again? Oh right, Onikaiushi. The minister's grandson was demoted away. That'll probably be how the script is being written. I see. It probably would turn out in something like that. Divine punishment awarded by Orishida-sama. Then the culprit is a living incarnation of Orishida-sama, that girl. Even I didn't know exactly what I was saying. The fact that Ushi laughed it off was a bit of a relief. Ushi's joyous laughter was so infectious that I began to laugh like an idiot as well. Oh, this is unusual. Ushi, after laying into the horn several times, pulled the window down and leaned out, waving his arm in an exaggerated manner. It was a car heading to the opposite direction, so now he hadn't run into any cars except his own. Out of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seemed that Ushi-san knew the owner of the car. The other car also shoved its horn and came to a stop. Dr. Ivy, good afternoon. The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a young man in a white overcoat. He's about my age, or perhaps a bit older, but you can't really judge someone by their appearance. What if it isn't Ushi-san? Good afternoon, haha, fancy meeting you here. That's my line, Doctor. I never thought I'd see you here. What happened? Oh, nothing, just a little house call. Oh, really? Was it an emergency? No, nothing quite that serious, thankfully. Guess this plan didn't work. I'll take my leave here. If I don't get back quickly, my staff will be angry with me. Being the head of the clinic must be tough. Well then, take care. The young doctor called Ivy, after gesturing his farewell, drove forwards and soon disappeared around the corner. Ushi also drove forwards, but soon came to a stop again. He pulled out a worn map book from the dashboard. His expression didn't have an ounce of irreverence. He was completely serious. What is it? The clinic shouldn't be making any house calls today. There must have been quite an emergency, or otherwise a patient with some extenuating circumstances. She flipped through the pages, opening up the map of Takisudo. After that, he took a look around and started to figure out what our location was. Are you saying that emergency is suspicious? Didn't I say there's hardly anyone that lives in Takisudo area? The order on right now is here. Dr. Ivy came from this direction. Having no sense of our surroundings, I couldn't digest anything about the places he was indicating on the map. Right towards the spot where the wallet was found. By the way, that's over here. See? If you're heading on one of these, if you're heading to one of the residents in Takisudo, it's at the wrong road. I mean, Dr. Ivy came from a direction where there are no residents. As long as somebody working in the field between these mountains didn't collapse, but if someone collapsed and you called a doctor, normally you would bring them back with you for a more detailed examination. But just now Dr. Ivy said it was nothing serious. And it didn't seem like anyone else was in the car with him. Usually didn't say any more than that. I also didn't say any more. The doctor just now examined a patient, close by, only that the noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had just turned an impressive color. As Ushi used that in my touch rain, the tonical downpour started, as though trying not to disappoint him. Eventually Ushi stopped the car. The only sound to break the silence was the pleasant desiccation of the rain on the roof and the soft squeak of the windshield wipers. Let's do this a bit hush hush, shall we? Saying that in a quiet voice, she exited the car without an umbrella, careful not to make any noise. Lucy leaned over, indicating the other side of the cricket. She was pointing to a suffocated shed and a car that was parked beside her. The car looked obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years. What's that shed? It contains equipment used by the forestry service. I heard they didn't go near it except for during the summertime. Does that car belong to someone from the forestry service then? Don't know. It doesn't look like an official vehicle though. She was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing. Is this where he is? Just in case, saying that Ushi returned the car. I thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he grabbed the onboard radio instead. Hello, this is Ushi. Do you read? Greetings. This is Akinomiya PS. Ushi-san, we read you loud and clear, over. I'm currently in front of the pharmacy service equipment shed. Not the one in the direction of Yochido, the one in Katsushudo. If you head that from Himizawa. Affirmative, copy that. There's some suspicious people in the shed. Proceeding to investigate. If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, get in touch with the local substation and have them send a cruiser as soon as possible. If you would please. Understood. Well then, shall we go take a look? Since he was first confined here, he had heard the sound of cars multiple times. He just thought the far sound was more the same. However, the reaction from his captors was until now something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity. Pressing against the window, cautiously peering outside. They stopped. Someone from the forestry service? This is bad. Nah, it looks like a cop to me. One of the captains lifted the boy by his collar and pressed the blade against his cheek. Hey kid, keep quiet for a bit. I think you know this, but if you try to shout, there'll be a problem. Toshiki Inuki was sure that the doctor had reported things to the police. He had felt relief when he knew that he was saved, but do not imagine that his captain would resort to violence when they were cornered. His anxiety remained undabbled. What do we do? Better buy time. Take the kid and slip out of the back. We'll meet you out where the heat's off. One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy by the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Toshiki Inuki tried to resist by saying that his illness had been aggravated by this maltreatment, but his captain paid no heed. Bang, 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 bang. The door was being violently banged upon. Excuse me, hello? Bang, 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 bang. The door was being banged upon again. Toshiki Inuki hesitated for a moment to respond to that voice by yelling. However, while he was being decisive, his mouth was covered, taking the option away from him. The leader of the captors waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response and, while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door. Yellow, do you need something? How do you do? This is the police. Would you mind opening the door? This sudden rain has us in a bit of trouble. The moment the lock was undone, Ushi forced the door open. With a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside as he stepped into the room. Then, in the small and empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy he was looking for was nowhere to be seen. I heard this was the equipment for the forestry service, but there's nothing in here at all. There was nothing in the room that indicated as an equipment shed. There was only mountains of blankets indicating that somebody was sleeping here, alongside empty food packets spewed about. Has been empty for some time now. Never seen no equipment store here. But this is the forestry building, isn't it? Are you from the forestry service? How about your police? The two of them glared at each other suspiciously. Both Ushi and the man studied fastly, refused to reveal their identities before the other one did. The man, judging from the sharp look in Ushi's eyes, realized that it would be hard to talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the time he had would probably only be a dozen seconds. Only the sound of the rain filled this tense moment. Just then they heard the sound of a struggle from far off. Ushi had a hunch. There was no doubt that Asaka, who was circling around back, had run into the perpetrator who was trying to slip away. Ow, Ushi got punched. As Ushi thought that the man in front of him reacted a moment faster, the other man swung with an attack that was more intended to obscure Ushi's vision rather than actually hit him in the face. Seizing the opportunity, the man aimed a kick at Ushi's groin without any hesitation, but he missed his mark and unable to land that critical blow. The man tried to pin Ushi, grabbed him by the base of his neck and with both hands that previously tied to push him down. But as Ushi fell backwards, as if kicking the man upwards, he dug his foot to the man's midsection. With that leg action as a fulcrum, the man was flung by the falling Ushi as if by a circle blow. The two of them spawned out into the pouring rain. Isn't this interesting? You wanna go? Alright, Ushi is just trying to cheer himself on and grinned smugly. He then stood up brushing the mud off himself. Even though he countered the assault, Ushi was getting up rather awkwardly compared to the man who swiftly sprung up to his feet. Ushi-san, hurry! Asaka's voice rang out from the distance. Judging from the distress in his voice, he was already engaged in a fight and wanted Ushi to reconvene with him. But Ushi-san's hands were already full. Asaka-san, sorry, but can you wait a bit? The man raised both of his fists into a stance that hinted at his anticipation being acquainted with karate or some other sort of martial arts, because Ushi as the officer of the law was decently reversing judo. He also had the moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Despite because of that, he could tell that the man in front of him was quite a better fighter than he was. Ah, damn it! Thinking that this was going to be easy just because the order came from the Shinzaki family to release the hostage had to be a mistake. You're pretty good. It's been a while since I got this worked up. Ushi painted the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took that to mean that Ushi wasn't going to go down easily. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Ushi. If the man managed to successfully clinch from his low stance, Ushi would be tackled to the ground and end up being mounted. It was something you'd see often when children fought, but it was a really bad position, since you couldn't do much once you were in it. Ushi responded to that move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head on. The moment they crashed, Ushi grabbed the man's lapel, and he yanked the lapel upwards. He smashed into the man's solar plex with the elbow of the same arm. It was a move from Ushi's own personal brand of bowling judo. He then grabbed with his free hand and attempted to throw his opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity and swung his arm into a large arc, entwining them with Ushi's. Not only that, but it forced both of Ushi's elbows to the outside, and Ushi now is in an awkward position, was in danger of exposing his back, with his hand still punching the man's chest. This guy practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Ushi cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted into the man's shirt and couldn't get away or release his grip, but he was still in an awkward position of being bent over. To top it off at zero range, the man was able to read Ushi's movement completely as he started to squirm his way into a better position, and then took the palm of his hand and swiftly tapped him over Ushi's ear. Ag. Having the ear in any other martial arts, except for self-defense, was basically forbidden. Karate and judo didn't recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. Ushi raised both of his hands as he tried to reflexively conjure his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Ushi's neck. His thick bicep clenched firmly around the base of Ushi's neck like a vice. Ushi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After all, it wasn't that hard to beat that man like this who was accomplished to be fighting, which punched his opponent's neck from this position. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold and forced Ushi to lose consciousness. That's why Ushi at that moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning wildly. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he chose not to. He was thinking, this guy has no intention of killing me. However, even though that might be the case, the man holding onto his neck was by no means gentle. In no time, Ushi's consciousness began to fade. Having the experience of being taken away down countless times in judo during his student days, Ushi was utterly resigned to the fact that it was over. Were we switching sides? Asaka-san was finally recovered from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. He had bumped into the captain carrying the boy at the back entrance. He had seen Satsuki Unugi's picture plenty of times and was able to immediately assert if the boy in front of him was a real deal. What? What with his mouth covered in packing tape? Also, with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator didn't overlook this momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely into a critical spot with Asaka-san not even be having the time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulders, he headed towards the front of the shed. But upon hearing Ushi-san's bellowing voice, he gave up on going that direction, and then he dashed up towards the forest. As if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there, Asaka-san was lost for a moment. Meeting up the Ushi was fine with the enemy was by far the safer option, but he just couldn't lose sight of the fleeing man. Asaka-san stood up and chased over after the captor's back. He ran through the short trigger and branches and fallen leaves, crunching underfoot. The tips of the branches racked and clawed at him, small scratches inscribing themselves onto his body one after the other. He kept on stepping into puddles and mud, and his shoes were soon filled with murky water. For Asaka-san, traveling through this unexpected forest was even more, though this was an emergency situation, extremely unpleasant. Stop. This is the police. As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would just politely stop when told by the police. To a people like Asaka-san running through this forest was an odious task. However, it must have been no easy task either for the man carrying the minister's grandson. He neither gained nor lost ground in his pursuit. Asaka-san, upon realizing that, gained back a bit of composure. Just keep on chasing him. We were running in the same conditions. In fact, he was running with an awkward stride, was a far more of an advantage. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, he would definitely trip and fall. As long as he was being hounded, he would definitely stumble. And soon his wish was fulfilled. Whoa! The man who had stepped into something and lost his balance was no longer able to bear the weight of the boy and dropped him. Asaka-san, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all, but just as long as he could ensure the safety of Kashiki and Nuki. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Kashiki and Nuki was important to the man as well, and didn't elect to just run away empty-handed. Asaka-san didn't know what to do with this kind of situation. His first priority would be to ensure the safety of the boy, so doing his capture being less important. Drafting with the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on, but most likely it was either do or die. Asaka-san's moment of decision proved to be fatal. The man aiming right between or rather for both of Asaka-san's eyes struck out with a jab. Not wanted that, Asaka-san raised both his hands in to shield his face. At that moment, the man kicked at an unguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs were being squeezed out of his body, but he latched onto his opponent's leg. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his seized foot, the man jumped at Asaka-san, applying pressure and pushing him down. Asaka-san was unable to withstand that spell, but under no circumstances was he letting that leg go. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Asaka-san, but having fallen in the awkward position was unable to do so. The two of them rolled over on the ground, floundering and trying to gain an advantage. Asaka-san, who was holding onto his opponent's knee with both hands, and that opponent who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were in two completely different situations. The man gained a positional advantage on Asaka-san, who was still latched onto his leg and couldn't move away, and pounding full force on his head with both his fists. Not only that, he found a rock nearby and beat it against Asaka-san's skull. Whack, 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 whack. The difference between being hit with a fist and being hit with a rock was vast. Asaka-san thought of letting go of the man to use his hands to protect his head, but if he let go, the man would get away. If he didn't take any hit, everything would be for naught. The boy was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to this freakish village. Without looking, I could see that my forehead had split open and was gushing blood, but I didn't let go of the man's leg. How could I? I won't let go. And then I realized that no matter how much he threw my head, he wasn't getting away. He used both his hands to grab my throat as if to crush my windpipe. I pushed my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was of no use. The man's hand enveloped my neck and began to crush it like a vise. It was less about the pain of not being able to breathe, so much as it was choking so hard I felt like I was gonna throw up. I felt like my stomach was gonna turn itself inside out. I could only endure it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. My throat hurts. I won't let go, I can't let go. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to resolve this and go back to Tokyo. I want to go back to Tokyo. I talked to Yuki. All of our unborn child we're gonna have on our bright future. I had no intention of loosening my grip. However, it loosened just a bit, and the man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as he possible and tumbled backwards. And my head was spinning, and I was unable to get up right away. No, I couldn't put any strength into getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. If I let him escape now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching that cell was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped the rock the man has threw me over the head with. Now it's my turn. Yeah, the rock should be able to supplement what meager strength I had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fists were wrapped around the rock and dug into the side of the man's torso. It seemed like it hurt him quite a bit. Ugh. Yeah. The man rolled around for a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me. Tashiki Nuki, right? I've come to help you. To the boy those words he was waiting for the most, but the crisis was still far over. That was because even though he was still clutching up at his side, the man had gone up again and had taken a fighting stance. I wonder which one is this? Because like, I think the only difference between them is that they speak slightly differently. I could see in the man's eyes and the statement had the pain I had caused him and the confidence that he would still be me. If we were to clash head on again, he might not even stop if my heads were split open. Oh, okay, so Ushi's finally a guy that has talked with a lot more slang, I guess. Oh no, he talks with a lot more accents. Stop resisting. Surrender quietly. You should just hand over the boy. Do you want me to snap your neck? Who will listen to you? Reinforcements are already on their way. There's nowhere for you to run. The man reacted adversely to the word reinforcements. That was because he knew that arguing like this wouldn't just waste time or put him closer to danger. Realizing that the man shifted mental gears and almost too quickly. Then let's finish this fast. How about this? What? What the hell? The man pulled behind his back was of all things a gun? But of course I'm a police officer. It's not like I don't know what a gun is. Having one pointed at me was something I've never experienced before. Was it real? Of course it was. There's no way it would be a replica in this situation. Put both your hands behind your head and lay down quietly. Don't get cocky, you villain. I won't do anything you say. You stupid idiot. Do you not know what this is without me shooting you with it? Then shoot. Reinforcements will hear the gunshot headed right over here. Are you stupid? We're in the middle of the forest, on top of that it's raining. They'll never hear a thing. As long as he had the gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was at a distinct disadvantage. I still had a fighting chance since he hadn't shot you yet. If I didn't shoot, wasting time yelling, I would have just shot him and took the boy. That was the fastest way and would suppress any further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender without having fired a shot, meaning that he either wanted to or couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy just a little more time, the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Yuki was probably on his way, and the reinforcements we fought for before, coming here should be on their way too. Not only that, they should contact the local police box. Without a doubt, somebody stationed in the village would be here much quicker than that. Damn it. Do I have to put a bullet in you to understand how dangerous this thing is? There's no escape. Don't add to your crimes. At the moment I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. Ushi was coming here, it was a whole new ball game. The man couldn't have more than one gun. Ushi-san, over here, over here! Huh? I thought that time was on my side, but I failed to even imagine that the enemy could have reinforcements. Oh, the other guy won. You could tell the man who just appeared was one of the perpetrators just by looking at him. What are you doing? If you don't hurry up, the police will come here. Stop lollygagging. Damn it. What happened to Ushi-san? Ah, that chubby fella? He's down for the count. Yeah, he is. Damn it. boy sensitive to the impending danger curled up behind my back. How could this be, damn it? Your buddy isn't coming. Serves you right. Shoes under the foot now. As I backed up against a large tree, while supporting the boy, the second man also pulled out a gun. Won't be saying this twice. Put your hands on your head and lie down. I refuse. Bang. As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder. It took a few moments to register that I had been shot. Compared to the one from the movies and TV show dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to the small fireworks I used to buy for the corner store as a kid. But there was no comparing the pain. It was fear. You know, only after being shot. Stop. Are you okay? Are you okay? The boy's confusion tugged on my clothes, aggravating the wound even further. I wanted to put on a bold face and reassure him. My voice was forced and had the opposite effect. I'm alright. I've already called for backup. There'll be a full squad here soon. Bag. It'll be quicker to put you on your head before the cops get here. Wait, what? It'll be quicker to put you on through your head. To put your on through your head. What? Whatever. But the family said no needless killing, so I'm taking it easy on ya. Oh, you talking about killing the boy? Don't mess with me or I ain't holding back. This was bad. It was very, very bad. This second man was completely different from the first one. He had no sign of indecision or mercy. If this man said he would shoot, he would shoot. He wasn't someone that a man like me could buy time from. I really hate to admit it, but at the moment, the image of Yuki's smiling face crossed the back of my mind. I knew what that meant. I was warning myself to not throw away my life over a matter of pride. Of course I didn't want to die here. I was just starting a new life with Yuki and I wanted to see the face of our soon-to-be-born child. Why would I risk my life for some minister's grandson when I was at such a crucial junction in my own life? Ugh, damn it. I need to stop rambling at myself. So what do I do now? Give up the boy and extend my own life? Was a good idea. What a good idea. Every life is precious. If my own life was in danger, nobody would blame me. Ah, god damn it hurts. If I had known it would be this painful, I wouldn't have played the tough guy. My biggest miscalculation though was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. If it was only that loud, it would be drowned out by the rain in the forest. It wasn't something that somebody far away could hear. Damn it. Just wait. I don't want to die. I don't want to kill ya. Slug as you understand. Don't shoot, okay? Don't shoot. I have a wife waiting for me at home. I don't want to die. I won't shoot you so long as you don't yell or nothing. Just quiet. Put your hands on your head and lie down. Will you really? You'll keep your promise, right? This is a promise between men. I will seize a promise between men. Keep your promise, keep it. I'm gonna get down the ground, please. I'm getting down. I'll keep my promise, so stop pointing your gun at me. You're something gonna shoot me, aren't you? You wanna shoot me, don't you? When I get down on the ground, you're gonna shoot me in the back of the head, aren't you? I won't, fine. I'll put it away. Put the gun away. Seize a promise between men. There. No problem, right? What, am I gonna shoot him now? Yeah, absolutely no complaints. Yeah. Ugh. It was over in a flash. The moment he loaded the gun, Uchi didn't let his chance slip by. Uchi had been assessing the situation for quite some time from behind the two men, but since they had their guns trained on me, he didn't have the chance to jump in. Seeing the look on Uchi's face indicating that he wanted me to create an opening, I took on that role completely. Uchi forcefully lifted the arm that he was holding the gun. He then took the gun from the man's hand in only an instant. The other man was a bit slow in grasping what had happened. He pointed his gun at them, but with his ally grappling with Uchi, he couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the one wrestling Uchi at the moment, he would have shot without hesitation. But this man wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Uchi kicked the other man away, and while aiming the stone gun with his left hand, pulled out his own. With the guns akimbo, he's aiming at both the men at the same time. I do believe that's checkmate. It was perfectly played. But he heedless of the guns pointed at them. The man shouted scram as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Those two running away without putting up a fight was honestly unexpected. Ushi clipped his tongue in admonishment, slipped both guns into his pants pockets. Oh, hello. Those guys know their stuff. What do you mean? An officer won't fire at someone who's fleeing. I want to keep my pension here. Ushi and I grinned at each other. Are you, Toshiki Inuki? The grandson of the Minister grandson? Construction Inuki? Yes, this is gonna be a major incident. We probably only cut the tail off the lizard though. Ushi smiled, amusingly. The fact that only got Ushi defense rounds, or rather the was occupying behind them, was pulling the strings with the parent, but proving it wouldn't be easy. And with apologies to Ushi, this incident was unexpected to go public. If this caused an uproar, it would obviously lead to the minister losing his office. HQ having decided that doing so was in the national interest, this would probably be cleared up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying it, but this was born in the shadows and was going to die in the shadows. Ushi probably already understood the implications behind this incident. But for the time being, let's cordon off the area, since it seems that one of them still has a gun. After that, let's get Inuki to safety and get you to the hospital. As it turns out, the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound, my shoulder blossomed once again. My forehead was also stinging painfully and had grown hot in order to start a fire. Thinking that the tension had forced me to sweat, I wiped my forehead, but what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt was stained bright red crimson from the blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy was safe and sound, without a doubt. There would probably be an investigation on the man who ran away, but that was for another day. At this point in time, I could safely say we had cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, it felt like the lights in my head had been hit by a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, the ground there feeling a soft cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant, even as I was covered in the rain-soaked mud. Ushi came closer, asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch to the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than a blanket wrapped over me. Higurashi, maybe? Higurashi when they cry. Only one this time, okay? A very kind person. Alright. Patients submitted to the hospital can only accept calls at fixed times. That's why she wouldn't receive a call from me today. Yesterday she had teased him that he got lonely easily, so he might have struggled with the idea of calling her sooner. That was much easier to imagine rather than that he might be too busy to call. Because he just had to have a person. Yuki whispered that while smiling to herself. The announcement that visiting hours were overplayed over the hospital intercom along with some music. She exchanged pleasantries with the family of the patients that was staying in the same room as her, probably eager for his mother to be discharged. Their small child was wearing a beaming smile. The child's mother was pregnant in the bed next to mine, with what may be their new brother or sister. They were probably ready to burst with the expectations, dreams, and worries of having a new sibling. The joys of growing family. Bathing in those small feelings, I stroked my own belly, which had already grown quite large. I had talked with him about how many children we wanted to have. We talked about how we wanted to have 3. It would be certainly lively. However, there was an inescapable worry of whether I would be able to handle giving birth that many times. There's a mother out there who would hate to give birth because of that worry, though. Yuki smiled as she said that to herself, gently stroking her stomach. The Metropolitan Police Public Safety Division, the place where the man's sense of justice had led him. That person was actually very gentle, a very fragile person. He didn't talk much about the specifics, but I didn't think he was suited for the assignment he was on right now. But as long as he said he was going to try his best, I should watch over him warmly. Father, you see, is a very hard worker, you know. Q. Yuki seemed to be enjoying herself as she talked to her own belly. At that moment, Yuki suddenly became concerned about something and looked out the window. It used to be this time, long ago. She remembers that when she was little around this time in the countryside, where her grandmother lived, the Higurashi would fill the air with their chorus. Oh, do you come from Himazawa? This was the middle of Tokyo. Oh, I'd say that like Himazawa is the only place that has Higurashi. Unlike the countryside, you couldn't hear the song of the Higurashi. For some reason, at that moment, Yuki felt she wanted to hear that song. Want to hear the cries of the Higurashi? Oh, it's done. A kind person. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it for this time. So yeah. Bye bye.